Hi YouTube, today I'm going to be making some chocolate peanut butter squares that are dairy free. These taste amazing. I've made them quite a number of times and my friends and family just kind of rave about them. I'll bring it to family and get-togethers, and I'll share them with friends or coworkers. So I'm going to make a batch today and show you how it's done, and all the ingredients and their amounts, if I don't happen to share them on the video, will be in the description below. And as well as I'll also link my family blog, and the recipe is also on there, as well as any comments that you'd like to share on it. So I hope that you watch. Please subscribe and enjoy. So the ingredients that you're going to need for this recipe are the Enjoy Life brand chocolate chips. These are amazing. You can get them in two different kinds. So these smaller ones, because you have to melt these in a double boiler. Well, you can melt them in the microwave as well. But they're really small. I don't know if you can tell in the picture. They're small, so they melt easily. There are bigger ones you can get, which I'm also going to make cookies, but these are the bigger ones. They're chunks, but I usually get these. I'll even do cookies with these, and they're really good. So you'll need some Enjoy Life chocolate chips, or I mean, if you can find dairy-free chocolate chips anywhere else, please go for it. You'll need peanut butter. You will need margarine. So my recipe, I usually say Earth Balance, because I'll buy and use Earth Balance. But I noticed that there was a vegan Basil margarine, so I'm going to be using that. And to be honest, when I'm cooking with this or Earth Balance, I don't notice the biggest difference with my baked goods. Like, it depends what it is, I guess. But the things that I've made and I've tried to do dairy free, this has worked just fine. And then you're going to need icing sugar. And this is my first kind of cooking video, so I hope this turns out okay and our lighting's okay in our condo, but this is what you'll need to get started. Okay, so now that I kind of have everything set up, I'm going to start off with the icing sugar. So that was 3 cups. So here's 1. Here's 2. And here's 3. Next is 1.5 cups of peanut butter, and so I am using Kraft, the smooth and light peanut butter. I know the light stuff probably doesn't make sense in a recipe that's just filled with sugar anyway, but it's kind of just what I had on hand, so. Okay, there's that. And then what it also, or what my recipe calls for, is for half a cup of dairy-free margarine. I usually will use Earth Balance, or I found a really good vegan margarine. So I'm just going to pop this in the microwave for 30 seconds till it's completely melted, and then pour it in, and then we're going to mix each ingredient together. So I'm just going to, while that's melting, I'm just going to start mixing this in. So this is just the peanut butter and icing sugar. What I find so great about these as well is that if you're bringing them to family get-together or to someone's place, that sometimes you don't know if there's a family member that has dietary needs. So sometimes sometimes it's great to bring stuff like this, and you might be pleasantly surprised that you've just made someone's day. This happened to me at a get-together with Adam's family. I ended up bringing some of my cookies that were dairy-free, and it turned out that there was a girl there that was lactose intolerant, so she couldn't eat a lot of the stuff there, but she was able to have dessert. So that's always nice when you can make someone's day like that. So just to let everybody know, when you're mixing this together, it's going to look a little dry at first, but you just keep mixing it in because none of this gets baked. So you need to form, or it needs to be at a consistency that where it can pack together very easily, but that it's not going to be like way too creamy, because you kind of want it to be just like a Reese's Pieces peanut butter square is the intention here, right? So and I'm pretty sure you don't have to worry too much about over mixing this, but one thing you do want to make sure is that you don't have a whole lot of the icing sugar left over. So you want to really make sure that you get to your bottom of your pan, because little crumbs will form and whatnot. So you can tell now that this is really crumbly, but if you press it, it's going to hold together. Now, because you've added melted margarine in it, it's still going to be fairly warm. Don't worry, because like once this cools, it's actually going to firm up a little bit more and hold together really well. So that's about the consistency you want it to be, and it's going to pack together nicely in your pan. So I'm just going to set this aside, and then actually, you know what? I'll put this into a pan right away. So what I've done is I've divided the mixture and put it into square pans. This recipe is for a 9x13 pan, but the only 9x13 pan I have is like super extra large, which would make the peanut butter mixture too thin. So as you can see here, I've just poured it in the pans, and then all you're going to do is you're going to use a fork, and then you're going to press it down evenly into the pan. And you want to make sure that it gets in each corner very well, that there's no big lumps that one side's bigger than the other, because you have to remember that when you're going to cut into these, you want each layer to be nice and level. And that's probably just more for aesthetic appeal. These are going to taste great either way. But irregardless, you just want to make sure that it's nice and even, and okay, so just so you guys can see, it's all packed in there, and it's a nice even layer on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and do this with the second pan. Ironically, another great thing about putting this in two pans is kind of like the same dilemma I had today. Was I told Adam that I was going to be doing some baking and that I was going to make peanut butter chocolate squares for work, because one of my friends who's there is vegan, and I'm going to see her tomorrow, but I really enjoy working with all the staff there, so I thought I'd bring in a nice treat for Friday, and I'm sure that, well, anytime I've brought these, they've been a big hit, so this was kind of my go-to recipe. And okay, so the same thing was done with this one. It's all pressed down and evenly into the pan. So I'm just going to set these aside, and then I will show you how to do the chocolate layer. Okay, so I've portioned out my margarine. You're going to need a half a cup for your chocolate layer. And you're going to need 12 ounces of Enjoy Life chocolate chips. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set it on your scale. You're going to want to account for the weight of the bowl and measure them out. My scale's battery powered and it just kind of died on me. So I've made these a few times before, and usually in most of my recipes I just kind of eyeball it anyway. So it's about a bag and a half of these, give or take. It's not a big deal if you add a few more chocolate chips. You can't go wrong with chocolate, basically. So the next step, what we're going to do is we're just going to add both of these in a double boiler over the stove. What you can do is you can just melt these 30 seconds at a time in the microwave until they're completely melted. I wouldn't put it over 30 seconds because you don't want burnt chocolate in your microwave. And you don't want to waste these. So what I do is I always do it over the stove. Now I don't have a specific double boiler, but what I do is I get a pot of water and then put another pot inside of it. This way the steam is what melts the chocolate and the margarine, and then we're just going to pour that over our mixture. So I'll show you how I do that. Okay, so all I've done is added a little bit of water to the bottom of the pan, and then I just nest another pan right inside of it, and then I put it on like medium-low heat. So we're going to wait for that to heat up, and I'm going to start putting the ingredients in. So here's the margarine. And chocolate chips. So we're just going to kind of wait for this to heat up, and I will, actually I better show you what it looks like now. So I've just kind of given the margarine a little stir. So we're just going to wait for this to start melting, and then you just want to get it so that it's just melted all together. You definitely do not want to boil this or anything like that. You just want it to have it nicely melted together. This way too is that it's not so like super hot that it's going to take a long time to cool, because we're going to pop this in the refrigerator for about 2 hours until it firms up together, and then we can cut into it. So as long as you have it just mixed together, so that you can't see any more of the margarine, then it will be okay. But I will also show you that. So you just keep stirring. You can see how it's starting to melt there on the bottom. I apologize about the light, but my stove is in not a good spot for proper lighting. but I wanted to show you how this is nicely melting. And you just want to make sure you keep stirring it so that none of the chocolate starts to burn on the bottom and everything kind of melts evenly. So in probably about 60 seconds this will all be melted. So I can still see a couple more chips in there, so I'm just going to wait till those are completely melted before I take it off the heat here. But you see how that's coming together really nice, and it's now, because of the margarine and the chips, it's just really creamy. Okay, so I have our chocolate mixture here. And you're going to need a spatula. And again, I'm just going to divide it between these two pans. Again, this will fit nicely in a 9x13 pan, no problem. I mean, I'm going to take half of these to work and half of these to, or to keep it here at home. But you don't need to really like scoop this out specifically. You just kind of want to make sure that it's in even parts. And for definitely, you want to make sure that you get all the chocolate in the pan. This stuff's like way too good to waste. Like, who can go wrong with like margarine and chocolate? And see what the margarine does, it just makes this really creamy, and it's also going to make it cut easier as well. I notice any of the time that I melt just chocolate chips, like they do get really hard. Like this is going to get hard as well, but I just find that it makes it a little bit easier to work with when it's cooled, that's all. So there's one. And here's the second one. And now you'll have to let me know how this video turned out, because it was my first cooking video, and whether or not anyone who watches this would like to see more of these, or to maybe see anything specific, or anything like if there's people from the States who watch. I know that if they want me to make something more Canadian, I guess, I could totally try to do that. Okay. And I'm just going to make some nice wavy lines on here. And there we go. And so that is done. So now I'm just going to cover these, and I'm going to pop them in the refrigerator for approximately 2 hours. You want to make sure that especially the center is nice and firm. Don't forget that you're also firming up the peanut butter layer as well, because when we melted the margarine it was still really warm. So like the whole thing is going to firm up really nice. Like I said, probably about 2 hours, depending on how I guess cold it is in your fridge. You could also pop them right into your freezer right away if that's something you wanted to do. It would probably take less time and whatnot. So I'm just going to go ahead and put these in the fridge, and then about a couple hours later I will show you what they look like. So these are the squares after they're done. They've chilled in the refrigerator for a couple hours. I easily cut them out and took them out, and this is the final product. And they're so delicious. And I'll show you the pan as well. So you can evenly score these. Mine are odd sizes, but you can tell that there's not a lot of crumbs with taking them out. They came out really well. They're all solid, so I mean you could cut yours to be, I mean other than even, cut them to be smaller or bigger. It's completely up to you, but that is them. And they're so good. I can't wait to share these. I hope you guys really enjoyed this recipe, and I hope you guys try it, and if you like it, subscribe. And please feel free to write in the comments if you want me to try any other recipes, or if there's any recipes you think that it would be nice to see. I'd be happy to do them. Okay, well, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.